there was some huge NBA news that happened yesterday. Kyrie Irving tore his ACL, and that Lakers trade between, Luka, AD, some of the auxiliary pieces might be the worst trade of all time. But obviously, the bigger news right now, ACL tear for Kyrie. Just lay out all your thoughts.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, very unfortunate for Kyrie. Was one of the backbones of that Mavericks team. Obviously, Anthony Davis has been out for since he essentially got traded. But just in general, like what you were saying, that Lakers trade has got to be one of the worst, panning out to be one of the worst in NBA history. Obviously, you look at that trade from a Lakers perspective, and you think that they're getting better for the future, adding Luka, kind of looking after the LeBron years, but in this current, they're the number 2 seed in the West right now. So they made a move for not only this season, not only in the future, but also this season, and it's working out for them beautifully. Everything feels like it's clicking for them. They're having fun on the court. And on the opposite side, you look at the Mavericks, who are currently 10th or 11th in the West. One of those two. The Anthony Davis isn't playing. Max Christie's been a good addition, but he's no Luka Doncic.
What's the update on AD right now?
He's
sure still pretty far out, right?
Yeah, he's going to be out for an extended period of time. And even if he is back, they could maybe snag a play-in spot and would have to play one of the better teams in OKC or whoever's in that top 2 or 3 if they do end up even making the playoffs. So just not a good trade for the long haul, and especially in the short term. You look at the Anthony Davis trade was supposed to try to put you over the edge, and you don't even know if you're going to make the playoffs this season, especially with Kyrie Irving out. So just in general, what can you say? The Lakers just completely fleeced. I feel like the word fleece gets kind of thrown around with like when you were saying auxiliary pieces a lot, where maybe some second or third role player gets traded, but you never see a Luka Doncic, somebody who's considered one of the top 5 players in the league, getting traded, especially with how young he is as well. Just terrible all around, and it's not even taking much hindsight. It's actively happening that the Lakers are significantly better than the Mavericks in a season where the Mavericks were trying to get over the hump.
I was actually pretty interested, and you went in a different direction than I thought you were going to go with mentioning the auxiliary pieces in a trade. The reason that this trade is so horrendous is even when you look at some of the more lopsided trades in NBA history, like maybe the Pau Gasol Memphis Grizzlies trade, at the very least, they got rookie Marc Gasol. They got what ended up being their franchise guy for the next 7 to 8 years. The Dallas Mavericks have no hope and no future in sight. Kyrie Irving is not even on the roster, right? He's an unrestricted free agent after this season. He could have potentially played his last game. So what do they have to play for?
Yeah,
He's an unrestricted free agent, correct? He's out, or he could potentially leave.
I'm not completely sure what his contract looks like, but within the next year, he should be out of the door for them. And even if he does stay, Kyrie Irving is 33 going on 34. He's not a young player in the league anymore. And he was that side piece to Luka Doncic who could kind of pick up the offense when needed. But he isn't Kyrie Irving from 2016, the 2016 finals runs, or even before that when he was balling out in Cleveland. He's an older version of Kyrie Irving, and the trade just increasingly makes less and less sense. And then you look at I don't know.
He's got a player option, and the deadline is in the summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so yeah. And then you look at the Mavericks, who are just, I don't even know what they're doing with their franchise in general. There was a report that came out yesterday that they're going to increase ticket prices across the board just across the board next season. So for a team that, what do fans have to watch there that they'd want to pay an increase in ticket prices? I don't know.
So let me get this straight. They trade their franchise player away. The guy that they got back got injured immediately. So that was their only hope. They now lose their other franchise player, Kyrie Irving, and they have no real draft capital to say that they gained from this. And now what?
They got Max Christie.
Oh, Max Christie. And now they're raising ticket prices. Doesn't this sound like a team that's trying to move?
Yeah,
and that is. Nowitzki doesn't even like him anymore.
That's almost the only explanation for it. Las Vegas is obviously an interesting city. There's been rumors since that trade happened, and even before that, that they were trying to move the franchise. So you'd have to think that some of these moves are getting a little bit questionable in trying to keep the franchise, and people are realizing it. It's nobody's. It's not like they're doing it very very sneakily. Like everyone's starting to raise questions on if this is like legitimate or not. If they're trying to stay in Dallas. So
One of the best bets that Vegas has made is by investing their, blood money, their secret money into Nico Harrison's life.
yeah,
And
apparently.
they have now bought that man and potentially bought a franchise, which is so crazy because I feel like Dallas is one of those franchises that was so stable for so long, but it really is just the people. These franchises, there's nothing that's holding them up outside of the people that run them. And I feel like that's a good reminder, maybe just in life and in general. Like it was Mark Cuban, the way that he went about his interactions with players who he hired in the front office. And that made the Dallas Mavericks, plus having Dirk Nowitzki for all those years, the regret of not signing Steve Nash too, like learning from those mistakes, but not imploding the franchise in the process. Yeah, it's just, that's tough to see. This is one of the biggest implosions I think I've ever seen from an NBA team in the middle of a season.
No, it's got to be the biggest. That's actually insane. And you mentioned a guy like Dirk Nowitzki. Luka was supposed to be that next the bridge guy between. Obviously, he played with Dirk for like a year or two, but he was the next Dirk. He was gonna from all reports, including himself, he was gonna sign an extension there. He had just recently bought a house. It just doesn't make any sense, and I can't. I tried originally trying to put the pieces together. Maybe if they have a breakout season with Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving show out and they possibly make the finals again, like it could be looked at as not so bad. But with where the Mavericks currently stand, it looks like the worst trade in NBA history, and there just almost is no reasoning for it.
What makes this trade so devastating is that was the only argument, was saying this year, and then Kyrie maybe opts into his player option, wants to have another year of $40+ million, and they make two really admirable runs. Maybe they get it, maybe they don't. You think that yes, they'd have to get it for it to pay off, but they got a shot, and it's in the next 2 years. It's right now, and it's over. It's out. It's out of the window now. Kyrie Irving
Yeah.
tearing his ACL. It's not going to happen this year. And then now you're banking on 1 year. How are you even going to be able to do that? And you don't even know if he's going to opt into his player option. Complete awful trade. Now, I did take a look at some of the worst trades in NBA history, and it could potentially be right up here, and it will be included on these lists. Some of these are draft day trades. I think that's tough to grade. But, one of them being Bill Russell getting traded on draft day. That's a tough one. And then also at the same time, you got those like the Celtics trading all of their older pieces to the Nets, but it's
Any
pretty
draft
horrendous.
any draft day trade is a little bit hard to evaluate just because you have no idea what the player is going to end up panning out to be. Like obviously Luka was originally drafted by the Hawks and then gets traded to the Mavericks. So and Trae Young is a great player too, but who are you taking, Trae Young or Luka Doncic? So